Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to be suggesting that I smuggle a terrorist into the United States, right?
It's always
how can I smuggle? How can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States, or what do I do? Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
But you could release him inside El Salvador.
Yeah, but I'm not releasing. I mean, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. I mean, we just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere, and you want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
That was the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, passing the football around the room in terms of whose responsibility it is to bring home Kilmar Abreggo Garcia back to Maryland, where he belongs, after he was wrongfully deported, a fact that Donald Trump's administration has admitted time and time again that this was a wrongful deportation, with Bukele saying here that he can't smuggle in a terrorist into the United States, and that he certainly isn't going to be releasing a terrorist into his own country. But the only thing is that it has not been proven whatsoever that Kilmar Abreggo Garcia is a member of MS-13. And I believe that if due process was allowed to play out, that it would not be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that he is a member of MS-13, which is basically propelling the Trump administration to just steamroll on with this deportation and not trying to do everything they can to bring him back into the country. And watch until the end of the video, because we're going to talk about exactly what Donald Trump is attempting to set up here with this brazen action that, or inaction that Trump is taking with Kilmar Abreggo Garcia, and really what it means for the future of this country. But before we do that, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and share with someone who's into politics. So we heard Bukele basically call Abreggo Garcia a terrorist multiple times there, and that he's not going to be smuggling in a terrorist into the United States. But again, there has not been a single shred of evidence produced in a court of law, which really begs the question of why does Donald Trump's administration not want this man to have his day in court? Is it that they simply would not be able to prove that he is a member of MS-13 after all of this? And now what we're going to look at is Rubio talking about the court decision that he claims went their way, but he doesn't mention other things about the court decision, and also a total disrespect shown to Caitlin Collins by multiple people in the Oval Office here, but none other than by President Donald Trump himself, where he basically pats her on the head and tells her to be a good girl.
Marco, do you have something to say about
Yeah, I mean, Stephen outlined it. I don't understand what the confusion is. This individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin, except for Venezuela that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President, no, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
Well, Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, Isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country? Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You know, you have no credibility. Please, go ahead.
President Trump, thank you so much. How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador? And President Bukele, how many are you willing to take from the U.S.?
As many as possible. And I just asked the president, you know, it's this massive complex that he built, jail complex. I said, can you build some more of them, please? As many as we can get out of our country that were allowed in here by incompetent Joe Biden through open borders. Open borders. You probably hear open borders and you can't even understand it because nobody can understand. Nobody smart or with common sense can understand it. So we have millions of people that should not be in this country that are dangerous. Not just people, because we have people, but we have millions of people that are murderers, drug dealers. They've been allowed to come into our country by other countries that were very smart.
Why can't you just be a good girl and be quiet and let us do illegal shit? That's what Donald Trump just told Caitlin Collins. Why can't you just be happy that we are keeping America safe and we're deporting criminals? And Caitlin Collins' rebuke to that is, well, sir, because it's illegal to deport people without due process who have not committed any crimes against the United States of America. Well, Donald Trump and his administration are not going to let little things like the law and the Constitution get in their way, as is being shown by this brazen deportation of Kilmar Abreggo Garcia. And Rubio there totally failing to mention that the court order also said that this man had been mistakenly deported and that it was the Trump administration that needed to facilitate the return of his release, as well as provide daily updates on exactly what they are doing to ensure the return of Kilmar Abreggo Garcia to Maryland, where he belongs. Things that Donald Trump's administration are certainly not doing, and it is certainly not the case that the courts just totally agreed with their justification of why they deported Abreggo Garcia. It's just not true whatsoever. Marco Rubio can try to spin it as much as he wants. Now we're going to look at Pam Bondi appearing on Jesse Waters here, saying that Kilmar Abreggo Garcia is not a Maryland man, and that any Democrats that decide to go to El Salvador to visit him, as this case is picking up steam and attention in the United States media, calling them crazy for even just the thought of doing so.
Jesse, you know, when you're listening to all these liberal reporters, they keep calling him a Maryland man. He's not a Maryland man. He's part of a foreign terrorist organization. He's a member of MS-13 who, as you laid out in your monologue, came to this country and committed just gang acts. He was caught, and he was two judges, an immigration judge and an appellate judge, ruled that he was an MS-13 member, as well as ICE's testimony. Yet his attorneys are saying he's not affiliated with the gang. They're wrong, and he has no right to be there. But for an extra step in paperwork, just like you said, he would go right back to El Salvador, which is his home country, where he belongs. And President Bukele does not want to give him back to the United States, nor do we want him back.
Right, so that's it. Bukele doesn't want to give him back. You don't want to take him back, so there's no facilitation of anything. He stays in the country where he was born, and this is over, you think, but the media is not going to stop asking about it. And now senators from Maryland are going to fly down to El Salvador to try to meet this terrorist in prison? What is that about?
Yeah, it's what you said. These people are so detached from reality that they don't care about the victims of crimes in this country. There is a reason that Donald Trump declared MS-13 as a foreign terrorist organization, because they have come to our country. They are highly organized. They are murdering people. They are raping people. They are organized crime at its worst. They are spread rampant throughout our country, and we are going to rid our country of MS-13 and TDA, and we're just thankful that President Bukele will take them in a prison in El Salvador.
Now, the president was musing about sending some of the most horrible people in this country down to that mega prison. You know, people that push ladies into subways and hit old ladies with baseball bats to the head. Is that legal to do? Is that something you're allowed to do?
Well, Jesse, these are Americans who he is saying who have committed the most heinous crimes in our country. And crime is going to decrease dramatically because he has given us a directive to make America safe again. These people need to be locked up as long as they can, as long as the law allows. We're not going to let them go anywhere. And if we have to build more prisons in our country, we will do it.
Right. That's what I thought. And now I think someone might be visiting one of those prisons. It looks like you got one of these guys, a Tesla terrorist,
That's right.
And he's got some lipstick. What's that?
You know, Jesse, this guy is charged with committing the Tesla offense in New Mexico in February, and then the GOP headquarters in March. These people thought they could get away with it. They can't. This is our 5th major arrest on Tesla. I guess they are listening. They better listen. This guy is looking at 40 years in prison. I have directed my prosecutors not to make any offers. He is going away, if convicted, for 40 years. He is the 5th major arrest we've made, and stay tuned for more.
What shade of lipstick is he wearing?
It looks like a deep purple. The shade this season, though, is lavender, so he's a few shades darker.
All right. Attorney General Pam Bondi, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
So why is it that Kilmar Abreggo Garcia is not defined as a Maryland man? Because he isn't a U.S. citizen? Or is it because of his last name and the way he looks? I would reckon that if this was a white person, that we would not be hearing Pam Bondi here saying that this is not a Maryland man. And on the calling Democrats crazy that go and visit this man, I don't think that Pam Bondi or Donald Trump or anyone in Trump's administration recognizes the firestorm that they are creating here, where Americans are looking at the case of Kilmar Abreggo Garcia and going, who's next, right? Is it going to be me and my family that are next in being wrongfully deported out of the United States of America? And ultimately, what Donald Trump's brazen deportation of Kilmar Abreggo Garcia is all about is he is laying the groundwork to ultimately be able to deport anybody in this country that dissents against him or his administration in any way whatsoever, and not have to go to court or provide any evidence whatsoever against people, and for Trump to be able to pick and choose who he wants in the country, who he doesn't want in the country, and look no further than Trump saying exactly so, that homegrown American citizens are next in being deported to El Salvador. Let's go ahead and look at the clip of Trump saying that.
To pay for those facilities to be opened if new ones were going to be built?
I'd do something. We'd help them out. Yeah, we help them. They're great facilities, very strong facilities, and they don't play games. I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that, Steve, okay?
demanded, the people wanted to change everything.
And they wanted to. He demanded. They love you. They love what you do.
You know, I'm not your supporter.
I want him to do, homegrown criminals next.
Yeah.
I said, homegrowns are next. The homegrowns. You got to build about 5 more places.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right? It's not big enough.
No, yeah.
Come on. So this is a much different office than you.
So there he says it. American citizens are not off the table for being considered for deportation to El Salvadorian supermax prisons. If you needed any more indication, any more evidence that fascism is alive and well here in America, you have it right here. And this is absolutely appalling. And American citizens should be incensed at just the thought, just the inkling of an idea to send American citizens to overseas prisons without any due process whatsoever. That idea should, in a normal world, get Donald Trump impeached as 47th president of the United States, because what he's talking about doing goes against the Constitution and is strictly and inherently illegal and un-American. And again, Donald Trump should be impeached for these sort of ideas even coming up into his head, much less him saying these things out loud. Because ultimately, what Donald Trump is doing here, he's laying down the groundwork and the foundation so that he can push a little bit further, see what he can get away with, a little bit more each time, to where eventually he is deporting even American citizens out of the United States of America. And if we don't take a stand for Kilmar Abreggo Garcia and tell Donald Trump's administration, no, we are not going to sit idly by and do nothing as you illegally deport this man, then what group is next? And what is Donald Trump going to do, being emboldened by inaction from the courts, a lack of public backlash against him? In this case, he's going to push it a little bit further. And on that, where are the liberal courts? Where are the liberal legal think groups that are standing up for Kilmar Abreggo Garcia? Where is the outrage from lawyers across this country? We've heard some of it, but it's not enough. It's not enough, given the fact that Donald Trump feels comfortable in doing nothing to bring home this man who he has already admitted that he mistakenly deported. And the president of El Salvador is not going to do anything to bring him home either. So who does it fall on to bring this man home? We as a country ultimately have blame to share in this if nothing is done. And if this man, God forbid, dies in an El Salvadorian prison, this country will have blood on its hands, and people who did not stand up for this man will have blood on their hands. And the legal apparatus in this country that is seemingly failing this man will have blood on their hands. That's all I got for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, and share with someone who's into politics. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.